Okay, let's talk about the complex conjugate. Basically, what a complex conjugate does is you have two terms. You have the real part and you have the imaginary part. But notice, it's the same thing except the signs are opposite. When you have complex conjugates and you multiply them together, what happens is this. You square the first term. It ends up being like a difference of squares, but you get a squared minus the bi squared. When you square the I, remember I is equal to the square root of -1. So when you end up squaring the I, you square the square root of -1, and so I squared gives you a -1. So when you square or multiply the conjugates together, you end up with a squared plus b squared, which we usually simplify out to a value. So over here on the example, we have that 2 plus 5i. My conjugate would be 2 minus 5i. Now when I multiply 2 plus 5i and 2 minus 5i together, I will end up with 2 squared plus 5 squared, which gives us 4 plus 25, and 4 plus 25 is 29. Now for dividing. What I want to do is get rid of, we don't want an I on the bottom. So the way I get rid of that is I'm going to multiply top and bottom by the conjugate. So I'm going to multiply the bottom by 1 plus I and the top by 1 plus I. When I do that on top, I get 2 times 1 plus I, but on the bottom I get a 1 squared plus 1 squared. When I clean this up, I get 2 plus 2i over 2. And I can break this apart because I can get 2 over 2 plus 2 over 2i. And when I reduce it down, it becomes 1 plus 1i. Over here on the right side for b, all I care about is getting rid of the bottom. So I'm going to multiply top and bottom by the conjugate for minus 3i. When I multiply it out, up on top, I get an 8 minus 6i and a minus 4i and a plus 3i squared, and on the bottom we get a 16 plus 9. When I clean this up, on the top I can combine the 6i and the minus 4i, and that gives us a minus 10i. But notice that my plus 3i squared is going to end up being a negative 3. So I get a minus 3 up on top, and on the bottom I get a 25. Now I can combine the 8 and minus 3, and so I get 5 minus 10i over 25. Break it up into two fractions, and I get 5 over 25 minus 10i over 25. And when I reduce that down, I get 1/5 minus 2/5 I.